Thanks for joining me again. I want to share some great news about how we're making housing more affordable and stable for our residents. 2023, we passed the Rent Stabilization law to stop excessive rent hikes and junk fees that were pushing families out of their homes. Today, after a year and a half of implementation, we can see the law is working. Households now have predictable rent increases, allowing them to plan for the future without fear of sudden, unaffordable changes. This law also improves housing conditions. Properties with serious code violations can't raise rents until those problems are fixed. As a reminder, the law covers rental properties in the county that are more than 23 years old. I wish it wasn't that long. It was carefully designed to moderate year-over-year rent hikes. Landlords retain the ability to raise rents to match inflation levels plus 3%, capped at 6%. The Department of Housing and Community Affairs also regulates the fees landlords can charge to tenants. That's to ensure landlords don't disguise rent hikes as mandatory fees. There are also cost savings realized from enacting rent stabilization. Tenants who are overcharged received $90,000 in refunds so far. We reduced proposed rent increases by an average of 56%, saving families hundreds of dollars each month. Because the landlords can't raise rents until housing code violations are fixed, we've seen conditions improve for tenants. Between 2024 and 25, there was a 69% drop in the number of units in the troubled properties list. This means safer, healthier homes for everyone, especially lower-income families, seniors, and people with disabilities, and people who need stability the most. Children really benefit when they're not bouncing between rentals and can establish stability within a school and a community. As a former teacher, I see the real value in helping families this way. We designed this law to be fair to tenants and property owners. Some increases are allowed above the limits to help property owners maintain their properties. In fact, basically all a property owner has to do is demonstrate that their expenses exceeded the inflation rate, and they can get a higher increase. It's a common sense approach that allows our county to be more affordable and more welcoming because we are a place for everyone, a place where anyone can thrive. You can read the report by visiting montgomerycountymd.gov/DHCA. DC Water was joined by regional, state, and federal officials, including our own Earl Stoddard, at the White House this week to discuss the impacts and mitigation of the sewage spill from the Potomac interceptor. Since the pipe broke, DC Water has been working tirelessly to repair it and minimize the contamination of the river. This is a complex engineering challenge. Chemical corrosion of the pipe caused the wall to deteriorate. When the pipe collapsed, the surrounding boulders tumbled into it. The vast majority of the sewage spilled was from Virginia and was intended for the Blue Plains wastewater treatment plant. Since this spill occurred last month, we have maintained constant contact with DC Water, WSSC, and the Maryland Department of the Environment. MDOE has a map of it on its websites showing spots where testing has been occurring regularly to ensure public safety. Our HHS team, along with our County Department of Environmental Protection, have been monitoring this situation for any potential health and environmental impacts on residents in the affected communities near the spill. Here are the facts, though. The spill occurred on federal land. DC Water owns the pipe. The spill did not enter waters regulated by the county. It's not in our creeks or streams. The spill flowed across federal land directly into the Potomac River. DC Water is monitoring bacteria levels daily at 6 locations. The DC Department of Energy and Environment is monitoring weekly. County waterways and properties are not affected, fortunately. And here are the key points and advice that we have communicated to our residents. First, there is no risk to county drinking water. Second, residents should avoid contact with water or shoreline in impacted areas. Third, keep children and pets away from the water's edge and ensure pets do not drink from the river. Fourth, if exposure occurs, wash skin and hands immediately with soap and clean water. Pet owners should thoroughly rinse their pet's paws and fur. No one should be collecting or eating fish, shellfish, or any other wildlife from the river. And we need folks to stop flushing wipes or disposing of grease down their drains. There are many questions that remain, such as how much is this thing going to cost to fix, and how can we prevent it from happening again? DC Water's immediate priorities are to repair the break and mitigate the environmental impacts of the spill in our region and downstream into the bay. It is unhelpful for Donald Trump to intervene and blame Governor Moore for an incident that his EPA currently oversees. While we expect the federal government to fulfill its responsibilities regarding this, our residents deserve accurate information about the facts surrounding this spill. It is quite contradictory and more than a little bit hypocritical for this president to comment on a matter of environmental importance so shortly after deregulating critical environmental protections, gutting the Clean Water Act and the Clean Air Act, and limiting the ability of anybody other than the federal government to regulate, or in their case, deregulate, anything that pollutes the environment. To follow developments about the sewage spill, please visit dcwater.com. We could benefit from community engagement on the future of trash in the county. I'm inviting the public to join me at the Sidney Kramer Up-County Regional Service Center in Germantown on Monday, March 2nd, or here at the Leggett Executive Office Building in Rockville on Wednesday, March 4th. Both events will start at 6 p.m. A third virtual meeting will be held at the same time on Thursday, March 5th. I hope it generates a lot of good discussion on how to handle our waste management challenges sensibly. My goal for years has been to shut down the incinerator that burns the trash. Burning our trash does not align with the county goals of reducing greenhouse gas emissions. The problem is that hauling away trash is expensive. At the same time, the current incinerator is failing and needs major renovations to remain a long-term alternative. So we face long-term cost increases that are going to be significant with any of our choices. One way to save on waste hauling costs is to reduce the volume of trash that we have to haul away. That's why we've been modernizing our solid waste management system through robust, independent, and data-driven processes. But at the end of the day, the fact is that it's you and me that control how much waste we have to haul away. The more we recycle, the less that goes into the trash, and the less we have to haul away. So we can play a role in minimizing these costs. The county generates around 1.5 million tons of waste per year. The Comprehensive Solid Waste Management Plan estimates that the yearly total will grow by more than 9% over the next 8 years, despite the expanded recycling efforts. We're saving durable medical equipment, mattresses, textiles, wood, bulk plastics, and more from the trash, and turning some of these items into revenue for the county, but the garbage still keeps growing. These meetings are essential, and I look forward to a good discussion. If you could fill out a very short survey beforehand, it would help us understand how to improve our services. You can find it on our Aiming for Zero webpage on the Department of Environmental Protection's website. There's only 1 week left in February, meaning chances are running out to take advantage of some of the special ceremonies and activities tied to Black History Month that are happening throughout the county. Over the past few weeks, our newsletter has featured information about book clubs, concerts, family days at places like Woodlawn Manor, Cultural Park in Sandy Spring. Still to come are Black History Month Family Days on Saturday, February 28th at the Josiah Henson Museum and Park in North Bethesda, featuring educational activities tied to the Underground Railroad. We're having Wood and Wine at Oakley Cabin, and that's also on Saturday the 28th in Olney. Montgomery Parks is behind the event for adults 21 and older that will allow participants to get hands-on with an art project. Families can still take advantage of the month-long family-friendly celebration of Black innovation and change at the Kid Museum in Bethesda. In Germantown, the Black Rock Center for the Arts is hosting a documentary about the Washington Rebels' Jubilee Voices on Saturday, February 28th, starting at 7 p.m. I hope everyone has the time to reflect on the importance of Black History Month and get to enjoy a celebration. Last week, I used my messaging to remember 2 of our local civil rights icons. This week, we lost a national figure in advancing equality, Reverend Jesse Jackson, who helped widen the doors of opportunity in America. Reverend Jackson's work in the civil rights movement and his historic campaigns for president challenged a system that too often excluded people from power. By building the broad multiracial Rainbow Coalition, he helped redefine who gets to participate and who gets heard. Reverend Jesse Jackson's life reminds us that real change requires courage and a consistent willingness to stand up, speak out, and bring people together, even when the costs are high and politics are complicated. I'm proud to continue that work, protecting voting rights, fighting for economic fairness, and making sure that every resident in Montgomery County has a voice and a real opportunity to succeed. Jesse Jackson lived a life that changed this country in ways that continue to shape our communities today. Our thoughts are with his family and all who carry forward his legacy. So that's all for now. Have a great weekend, and I'll have another video again next week.